is a lot to be learned about crickets and their behavior. These are not unfamiliar insects to students. They can easily be found around edges of buildings and in tall grass in midsummer to late fall. They often creep into buildings as the weather gets cooler. They are classified as insects because they have 6 legs, antennae, and 3 body parts: a head, thorax, and abdomen. The students will be able to determine the sex of the crickets because of the female's ovipositor, which is used to deposit eggs into the earth. We often hear the male crickets produce a distinctive summer sound when he rubs his wings together. Each wing has a file and a scraper, so that when the scraper on one wing rubs the file on the other wing, the cricket's song is produced. Crickets hear sounds through sense organs on their legs. Males producing music attract females. Crickets prefer to be hidden out of the light, therefore supplying leaves on the surface of the terrarium make ideal hiding spots for them. In Activity 4, students observe the features of crickets and identify their body parts. They record observations of cricket behavior in an enclosed setting and also after they are placed in the terrarium. This activity will take about 45 minutes. The vocabulary introduced in this activity is abdomen, antenna, ecosystem, head, ovipositor, population, and thorax. For this activity from the kit, you will need for each team of 4, 1 terrarium from Activity 1 and 2 magnifiers. For the class, you will need crickets, small plastic containers with lids, and 2 spray bottles, and the cricket transparency. In addition to the kit materials, you will also need to supply 8 medium to large dead leaves, overhead projector or projection device, spring water, and make copies of Activity Sheet 4, Part A and B for each student. Be sure to order the living materials shipment at least 4 weeks before beginning this activity. Your crickets will arrive in a box marked live materials. You will need to set up a temporary home for them in any plastic container with a lid and holes. Add some small pieces of potatoes for moisture and some bits of oatmeal for food. Add crumpled paper or egg carton material for them to hide in. Cut sheets of construction paper into 5 by 5 centimeter squares so that each team of 2 will have a square. Place 2 crickets in each of the 16 plastic containers and carefully cover the containers with lids. We want to be sure to show our living organisms respect. That is one of our National Science Education standards. So, Johanna, why don't you take those 2 and put them in there?
Okay, you know, when I first started teaching with crickets, I was really afraid of them. I wouldn't handle them, but I didn't want to convey that to my students. So what I would do is have the students handle them, the students that I could trust at every group to be able to. So as you can see, I've gotten over the fear. They're not going to hurt me, and so here's your cricket.
Thank you very much. And this might be how you might want to handle it also until you overcome your fear. Begin the lesson by showing the class one of the containers with crickets in it. Tell the students that they are going to be closely observing the crickets in these containers. Discuss with the students how they should handle and care for the crickets while at their tables. Divide the students into groups of 2. Distribute the activity sheet 4, parts A and B, and the magnifiers and a plastic container with the crickets in it. Have students use their worksheet to draw one of the crickets and use the chart to determine if the cricket is an insect, spider, or a crustacean. Ask the students to draw what they see and explain that these are technical drawings, not cartoon drawings. This may be a first attempt at technical drawings for students, so watch for smiley faces, hats, or clothing on the crickets, etc. Redirect the students by asking them something like, "Where is the hat on your cricket?" After allowing adequate time, ask the students if they think the crickets are true insects and what evidence do they have. Johanna, let's take a look at our crickets and see if we can find out if they're insects, spiders, or crustaceans.
Well, first of all, it says on the table here that if it's an insect, it has 6 legs. So, yes, 3 on this side, and I see 3 on that side, and the same with this cricket.
Okay. And what about body parts?
Well, it's kind of hard to distinguish whether there are 3 distinct body parts or not.
Okay, and so what about antenna? Do you see antenna on your...
Yes, actually I do see antennae, and this one has 2.
So when we look at our chart then, what evidence do you have that it's an insect, spider, or crustacean?
Well, it looks like there's more supportive evidence that it has 6 legs and it has 2 antennae. If it were a spider, it would have 8 legs and 2 body parts.
Okay. Project the cricket transparency and have the students find the head, thorax, and abdomen. Allow students time to add or refine their own drawings and also locate the named body parts on the crickets in the containers. To complete their technical drawings, have them label their drawings as in the transparency. Johanna, let's see if we can find those body parts on our crickets. The antenna.
Yes.
And when you look at the antenna, how is the size of the antenna in relationship to their body? Longer, shorter?
Actually it looks like the antennae is longer than either one of their bodies, so it's longer.
Okay. And then let's see if you can find the head on your cricket.
Yes, it has 2 eyes on it.
Now on the thorax, it's a small piece right here. Sometimes kids have a hard time seeing that difference. They want to make it part of the abdomen.
Yeah, I see it's kind of striped, and so they might look at the cross stripes, so that's the thorax.
Okay.
Exactly.
And they should look for a little band right there between the thorax and the abdomen.
Got it?
And then can you find the abdomen? It's the rest of that body part.
It's pretty big
Okay.
compared to the rest.
Well, let's look and see if you have any wings on any of yours. Some of the more immature crickets will not have wings. They have to be more mature.
This is interesting because there is one that does have wings, and the other one you can see the wings are just beginning to develop a little bit, but they're really not fully developed.
Okay, and then does it have an ovipositor? Because an ovipositor, if you notice down at the bottom, there are 2 little pieces that come out, but then on the female, we have an ovipositor that that's longer.
That's interesting because, yes, it's very obvious that one of these is a female because it has an ovipositor. The other one does not have an ovipositor. There's just little projections right there.
Okay, and the ovipositor actually is an egg-laying device for the female. So
okay.
Have the students determine whether they have male or female crickets. Students will probably visit each other's tables in order to see the different genders of crickets. Pass out the Part B Activity Sheet 4 worksheet along with the 5 by 5 centimeter square of paper for each student. Johanna, let's take a look at our crickets and let's see what would happen if you'll take the top off. We're going to take the tip of your pencil, the eraser portion of that, and we're just going to gently touch the top of the antenna and see what the crickets do, the top of the antenna.
They really respond when you touch the antenna.
They wiggle around, don't they?
Yeah, they move their antenna around.
Right. So the antennae are acting as their feelers so that they can find their way around. Well, we're going to see what happens then if we take a piece of this 5 by 5 centimeter square paper and fold it into a tent and put it in with the crickets. What do you think they're going to do?
Well, if they know, well, I just put it in there and they moved a little bit, but I don't know. They might crawl around it, crawl over it, crawl under it. This is something about their behavior that we would learn.
I know if I were a cricket and I had these eyes staring at me, I'd be inside that tent. Oh, let's turn that around. He's nibbling kind of at the bottom, or he's trying to lift it up. Okay, so students can observe that for a while. All right, what do you think will happen if we put them in the terrarium?
That's a whole new environment. I wonder if they might start exploring it.
Let's try that. Let's put them in add them to the terrariums.
Okay.
and see how they behave.
We don't put the tents in now?
No, don't put the tents in. Just go on and put the crickets in. Okay, we'll put the top on.
Boy, they're really moving around, aren't they?
I think they're excited about getting out of that small container into a larger
Yes,
container.
They're really exploring. How about their antenna? Are they using their antenna?
I think I see them moving around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at this one. Look what he's doing. He must be hungry. He's eating on the grass.
Oh, that should tell us something. This is really exciting to kids to actually see what they've prepared this habitat, and now something is living in it other than plants.
Very. As students add their crickets to the terrariums, have them focus their attention on where the crickets go as they are released, what they do, how they move, and anything else they may notice about their crickets in their new environment. Students may want to record these observations in their notebooks. Have the students share their observations. Write population on the board. Tell students that individuals of the same kind in the same environment make up a population. Write the word ecosystem on the board and explain to students that an ecosystem is a community functioning as a unit with its environment. Have the students add a few dead leaves to take the place of the paper tents in the containers and pass around the spray bottles with the spring water, and have the students mist their terrarium several times a day. Morning and afternoon is adequate. Johanna, let's do that right now. I'll put some leaves in.
Okay.
And we'll kind of give the crickets a little time to kind of adjust. And if you'll mist the sides. At this point, your grass might be quite tall, so this might be a chance to do a little haircut or grass mowing. And it also gives some added food for the crickets to be able to get smaller pieces of grass for them to feed on. Leaving the terrariums on the students' tables allows them to make observations as they happen. They may be preoccupied with them at first, but they will continue on with their own work, and the terrariums will soon become second nature. Leave the crickets in the terrariums and store the spray bottles nearby. Wash the containers and return them to the kit, along with the magnifiers and the transparency. Review pages 2 through 3 in the Delta Science Reader.